The Black Fat Femme Podcast is a production of iHeartRadio and Dr. John Paul, LLC. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Black Fat Femme Podcast, where all the intersections of identity are celebrated. I am one of your hosts, John, also known as Dr. John Paul. And before we start our week off, I want to say glory to Black Jesus. Did you know Missy Elliott and a whole slew of other people are getting ready to go on tour?
Sierra and Busta Rhymes. Yeah. Oh please don't unknow the Out of This World tour, baby.
Did you already?
I'm ready to be in space. No, that's not my journey to do all that. I'm like, I'll do it like 2 months before.
Girl, those ticket prices are something. I will say that very. Okay. Yeah, girl.
In this economy,
it's economy, and a lot of the girls are going on tour, and I don't understand how or why their prices are the way that they are. But they are. I was looking at, so I wanted to go, and I was looking at, like, I'm a girl who, I don't necessarily need to be on the floor, but I definitely like to be in like the stand towards the stage section, and it's like $400 or $500, and I just was like,
like the ones that like where you're on like folding chairs on the floor essentially, so you can still sit. Oh, okay. The built-in seats, so you like.
Yeah,
okay. I feel you.
I mean,
because like I don't need to be. Right, I don't need to be right up close,
right.
But I also don't want to be like, I don't want to stand for no reason either. Right. I need to sit.
Right,
like I'm gonna sit.
So, but yeah, not to say that they don't deserve it. I mean, Missy is a legend, and so is Busta and Sierra. But I was just looking at those prices, and I was like, $500. I don't even really think I paid that for Beyonce, but all to be
okay. That's what I've been thinking sometimes, because I'm like, y'all, I paid $300 for Beyonce,
right?
And so that was pushing it. Like one tangent, but also what happened with her BingCountry.com thing, because everyone was suspecting she was going to drop another tour,
right.
But she's said nothing with it. And so so my friends and I were gagging like, will she have another tour? And they're also like, I can't have another tour. Like, it's too early for the tour. And I was like, okay,
for this year.
So,
I have a feeling it'll probably she'll do exactly what she did with Renaissance, and that's kind of been the trend. Like every time she does tour, it's always like the album will be out for at least a year, and then she'll tour on the album, because that's what she did even with like the whole Mrs. Carter tour. I remember when the album dropped in like December, and I don't think she started touring until like September of 2024. Or no, 2014. Sorry, it was 2014 when she started touring.
Give us time to learn the TikTok dances and stuff.
Hello, right? Yeah,
she's doing way too much stuff.
But yeah, I'm just in a place right now where everybody is on tour, and it's like, in this economy, like, girl, I understand y'all got to make money too, but this ain't working. But anyway, how are you?
Fam. I will say to this, fam. First of all, is Jordan aka Joho, and I'm coming to you live from some YouTube DJ set, because I've been listening to random DJ sets, R&B DJ sets on YouTube the whole week while I work, and it's been a whole vibe, and it's a free concert, because what I'm not going to do is pay tickets for this shit. Like, was I gagged and happy for the tour of Missy to come out? Yes.
Yeah.
Also Maxwell and Justin Sullivan together as well too. Like, I am sad, but my bank account is like, girl, we can't do this. And you shan't do this. So I'm gonna just stick with my DJ sets called Like a Damn Day. And let me tell you, there's some good DJ sets. And when I say DJ sets, I mean like they like mix the shit together, right? So it's not just like plays a song, bam bam, next song. It's like they will interlope, flambe, saute, flip flop the songs with each other, and it is everything. Like, there was like someone did
remember in the pandemic?
Pandemic, yeah.
Doing the DJ set.
When was it DJ Envy would do it on Instagram Live? That shit was cute. This one I have to say, this one that's good. Their name is DJ Sparky, but they did, and like the whole mix is good. But they mixed the it go right. The song's like bitch, you know I'm sexy. Don't call, just text me, bitch. So they mixed that song with Holla Back Girl in the beat. So it's like the Holla Back Girl beat. Like, I can't even do the beat, but it's just so good. And I was like, bitch, you know I'm sexy. Don't call, just text me. And it's such a vibe. And I live for some DJs.
Yeah, I was jamming too. There's this guy, I've been seeing his reels come up. He does like all of the old school like 2000s TV show, like he mixes it with music. But I saw him
for like weddings and stuff, like the wedding one, because that shit is
all of that. And I'm like, I'm here for that too. Like the idea of like,
I'd have him play at my wedding,
like the intros to actual like albums or the intros to actual television shows, with, like songs. I'm here for that.
Yes, yes, down.
Yes, down boots. Well, anyway, as we do, y'all know it's time for us to get into our still here seggy. And this week, we're going to kick off this episode like we always do, giving Miss Tisha Campbell her flowers. I know some of y'all probably asked why Tisha Campbell. Well, she has a song called Still Here. If you are new to this, we are true to this. Tisha Campbell has a song called Still Here. And so we, like her, are still here and we love to give her her flowers. This week, we are actually going to kind of do the same thing. We love to give not only just Black women their flowers, but everybody that deserves them around these parts. And so I just felt like it was a time for us to kind of reset and just kind of give our flowers to some folks that we love and that we know and that we respect, specifically people who
Mm,
continue to not only support us, but also support the show and support all of the stuff that we're doing over here at Black Fat Femme. And so this week, I wanted to ask, who is someone in your life that you want to give flowers to, someone you respect,
mm,
someone that you look up to? And it might be someone you work with, or it might be somebody that you just know in your life. I know you do a lot of stuff outside of the show and then also outside of your job.
mm,
And so I also wanted to say
girl.
shout out. I forget the name of the woman, but she knew you. She works at the LGBTQ Center of San Diego. And when I mentioned your name, I forget what her name is, but she knew who you was. And she said that she
Oh,
absolutely
interesting.
adored you. And I don't remember her name, but I definitely want to say that.
Was it
Go ahead.
was it the was it the CEO of
I
it?
think
The CEO of
so.
the center?
Yeah.
Kara?
Yeah.
Kara?
Yes, it was Kara. So shout out to Kara.
Oh, Miss Kara.
Yeah. Mhm.
Aw,
So I had
aw.
mentioned your name. I was in a room with her, was doing something, and I had mentioned you were my co-host, and she was like, "Oh my god, I have to listen to the show." So all that to be said, we want to
Aw,
shout out Miss
sweet.
Kara. But anyway, all that to be said, for this week, I am going to shout out my. It's interesting because I'll say this before I actually get into the shout out. I have had multiple jobs and I have had multiple supervisors, and I've never had a supervisor that I think cared for me the way that my current boss does. And so, for many of you, yes, you all know that I am a freelancer in some regards. I do a lot of writing, I do a whole bunch of different things here and there, I consult. But as of last year, I took on a role. I was actually consulting for an org for 4 years, and then I was asked if I would come on full time. And I said yes. And full time, I've been working for Rainbow Pride Youth Alliance. I've mentioned them several times. My supervisor there, her name is Reverend Benita Ramsey. In There are a lot of stories that
Is it
she
actually
shared.
reverend?
She's a reverend.
Is it actually reverend?
Yeah,
Oh,
she is.
yes!
She re
Yes!
she, actually her, I don't know, because I'm not a church girl like this, so I don't know all of the terminology, but I do know that her church is in Riverside, California, and Reverend Benita Ramsey
Yes.
has a very amazing reputation. Anywhere I go and I mention that Benita is my boss, everyone lights up because that is who Benita Ramsey is. Benita is just
Mm.
like I said, I've had a lot of supervisors in the years of working, 16 carriages driving away while
Mm.
I will
Mm.
ride with my beams
Mhm.
away. But anyway, all that to
Mhm.
say, in my 16 carriages, Benita Ramsey has been that girl for me. I'm so blessed to have a Black queer woman who not only just knows her shit, but she's also just extremely, extremely, like, her empathy level is just so high. Like, I never have to tell her that I'm
Mm.
stressed before she literally will jump in to take care of something before it even becomes a problem for me. And I've never had a
Mm.
supervisor do that. And so I'm just wanting to say, she exemplifies what it means to be thoughtful, and diligent in her work as a queer Black leader, not only just in the Inland Empire, but also in the world. And it hit me a few weeks ago that I was like, wow, I actually have a really dope boss. Like, I really have a really dope person leading an org who's building and setting me up for success. So I just wanted to say,
Mm.
these last few weeks and these years have been hell for so many people. And also I've lost jobs, I've lost opportunities, and I'm so glad that all of the stuff I've lost, I've gained being under the tutelage of Reverend Benita Ramsey. So what about you, Joho?
Oh, wow, okay, well, first of all, I love that she's actually reverend because that's actually dope because, to, have a spiritual leader do work within queer spaces is actually kind of amazing
Yeah.
for many reasons, so I love, love, love that, and along with the trends of like queer leaders, when I said say I love this question because something I've been thinking about a lot these days, giving flowers to people who I admire, respect, and lay them at their feet, as has been done to us. And I actually sent an email recently to someone that I had to give flowers to. His name is Max,
Mhm.
and he's the director of the North County LGBT Resource Center in
Hey.
Oceanside, which is in North County, San Diego. When I first moved to San Diego area, I was freshly out of high school and looking for an LGBT center to go to because I didn't have one when I was growing up. I'm sure there was some nearby, but I just didn't look into it. I was super young, so knew like I had a car and stuff, but I wasn't like, where's the nearest LGBT center? And so when I moved, I wanted to build queer community. And when I say that this place was my church, like this was my refuge, this was my sanctuary, I really mean that. I went there religiously for 2 years, every week to their youth group. I attended the events that they did. We did vigils with people who were taken in our community, or who had unalived themselves, or we had like I remember when Don't Ask Don't Tell was repealed, we had a huge celebration
Yeah.
there and people spoke there and stuff. Like it was just really amazing, and I felt so cared for by the staff. And there's only two full-time staff members at that time,
Yeah.
Max and Linda. Linda actually Linda passed away about 2 years ago, which was
Oh, I'm so
a big shock to all of us. Like
sorry.
it was on Facebook and people were like, oh my god, we had no idea that she was even sick, and she didn't disclose it for a lot of reasons. And so I think Max and Linda are two people that Linda, I give her flower. I give her flowers, even though she's not here with us. And Max,
Yeah.
he is here with us because I do not know if I was how I would have survived so much of those messy
Yeah.
late teen years without them, and having queer community and building like meaningful friendships and doing fun things with people. It was just so special. Also, like if y'all been to Oceanside, it's like it's it's a military town. It's
Mhm.
growing a lot. It's more diverse than before,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily like inherently queer place. There isn't like a queer neighborhood. So the fact that there was like a queer resource center there that
Mm.
was
Mhm.
supporting North County San Diego was really special. And I'm thankful that like I lived 10-15 minutes from it, so I would drive it every Thursday. And it was just so much fun and so special because the youth group had a facilitator who talked about our experiences with queer people, that's what actually launched me into doing therapy
Yeah.
and helped me find my therapist. Like so many good things came from that. And actually, in my last job, because Max is a nonprofit leader, I actually saw him a lot in my last job
Yeah.
because we funded work in North County as well. So especially to see him also like for him to see me in different iteration of who I was, because when I first came to him, I was 18, and then I was 24 or 20, 25, 26 in this, like in this different world and different role.
Mm.
And so especially to like also have him see my growth as a person.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just really thankful, and I give him flowers for the work that he does today and how much the center has grown into a space. I think with like over I think almost 10 now full-time staff
Yeah.
members,
It's I
which is
I
amazing.
because what
Um
made me check the website was I think the same place that I met the director of the San Diego Center
Was the San Diego
yeah,
Center?
was the center. I met Max at the same meeting,
Ugh,
and
amazing.
Mac, I got to learn. So we all went around and we were like kind of telling our story into like how we got to where we were, and I got to hear Max talk about his experience leaving Italy to come here and
Yes.
around and everything. And so it's funny. It's almost cosmic in a way that we're talking about, people we're giving flowers to. And it's like, I'm grateful that I even had a chance to be in the room with him for a day. And so I
Yeah.
can only imagine the way that he inspired me being in that room for the day. I can only imagine
Mm,
what he's done for you and your livelihood and at that time in your life. So yeah, big ups to Max.
truly.
I'm so happy that his name is coming up in conversation in such a good way.
Ugh, yeah, thank you. That means a lot to me to hear because he really is just somebody that is just so incredible, just so beautiful,
Yeah,
just so fantastic. His story is amazing, and the work that he's done really in San Diego and Oceanside and in North County is just amazing. That work has not been done in many other places. So,
I believe it.
okay, y'all, all this talk about flowers got my allergies acting up. So while I pop some
Zircon.
Claritin, we're gonna take a quick break. More in just a sec. Okay, fam, we are back and we have a juicy discussion in store for y'all today. Whew, Lord, child, Lord Jesus in heaven. Oh my God. Lord Jesus, I can sue, not Lord, baby Jesus, not I can sue. I'm sure by now you've all
Ekin
heard.
No, not
Not I
Ekin
can sue, I can sue.
Yes.
Now y'all have heard about or read the article dragging Amanda Seals in response to her sharing about not feeling received or recognized by Black spaces or gatekeepers in the Black entertainment space.
Yeah.
Several op-eds have been published in bigger Black publications coming for her, discussing her lack of likability, and in some cases implying that she is a girl who cried wolf.
Mm.
And then discourse has also begun to discuss for the same sphere as Candace Owens, who was fired last month from the Daily Wire. John, I know you responded a bit to this discourse, so I want to first kick off the discussion by asking you, what do you think about all this?
Well, it's oh Lord Jesus. So this is the thing. I could have written a whole dissertation about my feelings on both of these. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
so one, I think I will say this before I get into my thought. I think it's fun for the world to shit on black women in general, right? I think society loves to shit on black women.
Mm-hmm.
They look for any reason to shit on them.
Mm-hmm.
They look for any reason to make them feel less than. However, I made it very clear in some of my and again, and I'm glad we're having this convo because I would love to get your thoughts on it too. I have made it very clear that I don't believe that Candace Owens or Amanda Seals are the same person. I could see if Amanda Seals came out
Period.
like I could
Period. Not the same
see if she
person.
right, like full stop period. They are not the same person. I can see if Amanda Seals came out and was very much kind of like doing the same thing, right? Where she was basically purporting that black people are the reason for their own. So I'll say this. There are okay. So let me get to the schematics of it. I
Oof.
understand why people don't like Amanda Seals. Is it valid?
Mm-hmm.
Some of it, right? So I want to name the
Mm-hmm.
facts. Some of the things that I know that of why people don't like Amanda Seals is one,
Mm-hmm.
she has made very classist statements in her career, right? So I mean, I guess there was one time where she made a classist statement about people needing passports and oh, stop buying basically the typical respectability politics shit, right? Buy You need to be buying clothes versus buying, you need to be getting a passport versus buying clothes or buying Louis Vuitton bags, right? That's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
rhetoric that she's purported in her career. She's also supported very openly Sean King, which a lot, again, fraud king, Martin
Ooh.
Levski,
Mm-hmm.
she has been very, very supportive of him, and so I can see why people have turned on her for that. But what I will say is, I think that there's still a piece of me that says, what makes me say I may not fully see it for her, but I can still respect her and where she comes from is the fact that she stands in a lot of her political power, and so or her politic, right? Being a black woman who lives in America. I would say
Mm.
this: any black woman who's living in America that has not been politicized in the last 2 to 3 years, I don't know why. Like I don't know why. So I could understand where Amanda's coming from. However, in my mind, just flat out, Candace Owens is a race trader. Period. Like she's just a race trader, and
Mm.
there's no correlation in my mind between the two, right? Like what Amanda Seals has said and has done for her platform has been to advocate for black women and for black people. And yes, there have been some minor flubs in that, right? But Candace Owens, what like I have nothing good to say about her. Like I have nothing everything
Yeah.
she has done has been to shit on black people. So that's where I'm at.
Mm. Agreed. Agreed. No, agreed. Because I think it's interesting that I think when people would have put them together because that's when I didn't I was like not on my bingo card for 2024. I was like in the same sentence. Amanda Seals and Candace Owens. And I mean one like I mean and what I will say it does make you think about like I think a lot about like the cancelability of black women that
Right.
like that we perpetuate as society, the standard we hold them to, right? Like Candace Owens is an interesting case study in you will ride for whiteness, and at the end of the day, whiteness will never ride for you still.
Hello.
Like you will ride
Hello.
for it into the dark, and alone in that dark night you shall go because they will not come for your not come to your aid, sis. Okay.
Right. Right.
But and I mean I agree. Like Candace Owens, I literally when people started posting Candace Owens, I spent like in the past few months, I was like, y'all. Y'all like y'all need to have critical thinking. Like
Right.
you cannot just because she's saying the right thing for this one thing does not mean that she actually is the right person to follow in any way. Because she has absolutely accepted many black people to get to where she is, and has
Right.
literally called George Floyd thug. Lydia has like called has tried to justify the killings of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and many other black folks.
Right.
Like
Right.
that will never be okay in my book. So never we so I'm so sorry she can't be that person. And I think Amanda Seals is a great point you made of like yeah, like, she has engaged in problematic culture, she has engaged and has perpetuated problematic things, which is sometimes a lesson in, like, not everything needs to be a tweet. Like, not everything needs to
Not
be a tweet.
everything needs to
Like,
be a real girl.
some things just
Right.
keep to yourself or say
Amen.
to your friends and not out loud. Like, just call that a good
Amen.
damn day.
Mhm.
Because it is a wild. I'm like, y'all people releasing some outlandish shit online. Like, literally, y'all will not catch me doing that. Like, I often type things and then I'm like, you know what? This never has to come out to the
Right.
light of day. Like,
Or put it in your
it's
group
just not
chat,
worth it.
girl. I text
Yeah, but the
you,
group chat.
I text Heather, a lot of the problem Imma just be real, I'm human. There are a lot of problematic things that I believe and that I sit with, and I will just say, simply, I'll just go, "You know what? Let me just text it to my group." And I'll just say, "Is this a safe space? And let me go ahead and text it here." So that way, I just know at the end of the day,
Period.
it's not something that somebody can say, "Oh, Dr. Higgins said X, Y, and Z, and that's why we don't fuck with them." Okay. You know?
Period. No,
Mhm.
the facts because then because I will say like Amanda gets upset
Right.
that she has to like answer for these things, which part of me is like I get why, but I'm also like girl, but you said what you said. Like
Said it.
you said these things, and so people will get mad at you. You can't be mad that they're mad. You know, and I think and I it brings me a question, right? like
You
it
can't be
also like
mad
it brings
that
me a
they're
question.
mad. I
No,
love
but like,
it.
mad.
Right.
It does bring up a question of like, is there a statute of limitations when it comes to things you say when you say them, and
Well,
right, like I think there's a lot of questions about that, but at the end of the day, like they're to me they're two different people, and I think that hey Amanda, I mean she's interesting in itself because obviously like we can discuss the some ways in which like, as a light skinned woman she has a lot of privilege to be able to stand up for things, but she also was never like she or have I seen her she the way I've seen her she's always rode for black people,
right.
and I think that is amazing. I think what's interesting for me in people's reactions and her reaction to the publications publishing these op-eds
Yeah.
is that is that they're op-eds, and I think that's what's frustrating for me in this moment too. Is everyone's getting mad at like the publications, and I'm like, and probably like, do y'all know what op-eds are for?
A lot
Like
of people
op-eds.
don't a lot of people don't have the journalistic, you know what I
So
mean? They don't
let's
have the
just
back.
school y'all. Let's just this don't have the range. Let's just let me actually let me Chris believe that because that will cancel me for sure. You're right. People do
No, I
not
think you
have
can say that. I think
like people
you
like, do
can.
not have the tools
Yes.
to yeah they don't have the tools like to understand like what that means. So like let us like teach you for a second. Like op-eds don't serve to necessarily don't serve to necessarily legitimize a take.
Right.
It serves as a space to facilitate discourse, right? So like that's why the publications put the op-ed does not reflect the editor's views
Right.
or the views of the publication because that's what op-eds are for. I think people are upset about the wrong thing. They can't be upset with the publications for publishing these pieces because that's actually their job, and in some ways, arguably, it's actually the responsible thing to do. And hot take, whoo, hot take n- uh being upset about publishing these is actually participating in censorship.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you want to like limit these articles, like that is censorship. And trust me, when there are there are a lot of op-eds that I see that I'm like, why would people
Why would
publish
you write
this?
that?
And
Yeah.
I'm like, because it's their actual job. Now, what they could drive the publications for is the editors of the article, as in like who edited this article and said this this came out okay because some of these articles I was like, girl, this is not like the best work
This is not
that could be put
okay.
out.
Yeah.
That-
Mhm.
like it could be different than this, you know. And so like we can discuss that, but I think it's hard because I get why people are upset and the people are mad in every steps of the way. But I think like we're mad at the wrong things
We
too,
are.
and
We
that to
are.
me is like we need to like get correct on
Mhm.
where our frustration is actually going
Right.
towards.
And you bring up a really good point. And so one of the notes I had made, for this conversation was not everything needs to be an op-ed, right? So like and that's what
Hmm.
op-eds are, their opinions. And so okay, we get it. People have opinions about Amanda Seals. People have opinions about Candace Owens. I have a lot of opinions, but I don't run to BET or to, primetime or whatever wherever I write to put out every single
Hmm.
opinion that I have. And that's been my biggest frustration around Amanda Seals. It's like everyone wants to, so this is the thing. Amanda Seales, I think the reality is that she has a way of, and this is something that I've had to kind of watch within myself too, because I recognize I've had people tell me this, you know, John, when people say, John, your energy is a lot. Okay, I get it. I understand.
Mm.
Amanda
Mhm.
Seales
Interesting.
can be the same way, right? Like
Mm,
Candace,
mhm, mhm.
not Candace, but Amanda Seales can really just, in the sense of like, and again, I want to make sure that I'm not critiquing her, because I will say this: Amanda Seales does not bother me. Like, there's nothing that
Mhm.
she has done that has made me say, "Oh, I don't like that lady." Like, no, I wouldn't say I'm her biggest fan. I'm not the person like, oh, let me buy an Amanda Seales ticket and let me go to her, one of her stand up comedy shows. No, like that's not me. But what I will say, I feel like Christian edited. I don't know what y'all do with it, but that's not me. Um, she's not me. She's not. I mean, I like her, but and
Yeah.
I appreciate what she does, because we need more Amanda Seales in our work, right? We need women who are standing up and saying, no, this stuff, the injustices, this is what's happening. We need to have conversations about it. We need that. But I like you said, I just think a lot of what she's getting is just very much rooted in the hatred for Black women. And I'm going and I'm looking, that's like literally somebody saying like, I don't even know what the correlation would be outside of, you know, Amanda being set up to look like, or to just at least sound like a Candace Owens. But I'm just going like, I don't, it doesn't connect for me. And I don't even
Yeah.
know when or where or how that conversation even got started. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
who's
We
who said that? Who said it? Who said that?
That really it's not exactly 'cause I'm actually like, this the like, this is where your brain went, was like, these 2 together make sense? I don't see it, but okay, so something you said that, like, hearing you say that, like, hearing you say that you don't mind Amanda Seales makes me think about something that we talked about last episode too, of like, tr and I feel like I said this way too much these days, but, like, we need to do away with the idea that celebrity is the one that's going to free us from anything.
Amen.
Like,
Amen.
at the end of the day, like, at the end of the day, she is celebrity, and yes, she is celebrity who is putting her, like, using her platform. I think that's amazing for sure. Like, again, like, I think there are people who can balance the idea of being celebrity and activist in these ways. And I'm not saying that she's not. I'm not saying that she's not. Like, I'm not discrediting her work at all. What I'm saying though is, like, she's been built, like, off of a different pathway to, like, the public
Right.
recognition,
Right.
and like that path in the day, right? Like, and her critique is about not being in other Black celebrity spaces, right? Like, that's the critique, not being in other Black celebrity spaces. And so, like, again, I want to do it with the idea of, like, people of, like, celebrities being the one to, like, free us from things, right? Like, I think about that for myself all the time as, like, as I do work, because I think, like, at what point, right, like, in the show or in, like, social media work, will I have to draw a line of, am I still public figure activist Jordan, or Joho, like, or like, am I now, like, public figure, not celeb, but, like, like, celeb Joho or something? Like, what is my line there, right? But the basis of my work didn't come from that in the first place. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
y'all, we need to, like, do away with the idea that celebrities are going to be the people to, like, that to, like, do the idea that they are the ones that we have to must always follow, and, like, the pressure we put on them to perform as well too. Like, yes, I get why people don't like her, and which is a question I want to ask you as well too. But, like, we have to also stop making her, like, the person that we follow for all the things in the
Right.
world too. Like,
Right.
go follow, like, more activists and more people.
And that's a good point, because my thing becomes, right, so we do this to celebrity. So this brings up a really good conversation, right? The idea that celebrity has to be act like, because she's a Black woman, because she has a platform. I feel like, and I had tweeted this, because, or at least responded to it. It was both a tweet and also on Instagram. A friend I'm hoping that will be on the show soon, Dr. Jen Jackson, had said, right around the time that Cowboy Carter came out, there were all of these conversations of people saying, well, I don't really, I don't like Beyonce because Beyonce doesn't speak up for Black issues. And I don't like Beyonce for this, that, and the other. And Jen basically said, I never go to Beyonce's music or Beyonce's work with the expectation that she's going to liberate us because she's a woman who's working in a field
Entertainer, like,
that is massively, massively built off of like capitalism. So my thing becomes,
yeah.
and even for myself, like I go back and forth with that because my mind goes like, I truly, even talking about like this show, right? Like this show has sometimes fallen like, I love your show because of the activism that you do through your podcast. And I'm going, we never really signed up to say that this show was activism. Like I understand that the person was political, but the reality is that I never pitched the show as an activisty show. It was in my
Mhm.
mind of it was two black fat girls who constantly said, no one ever gives us the mic, so we're taking it. That's literally what this show is. We're documenting our own stories, our own voices, our own experiences, and we're basically saying other people should do the same. And so I think that's the thing I struggle with so many black women
Mm.
in media or even black femmes in media, right? We constantly get labeled
Mhm, mhm.
activists just for simply living. And it's like
Oh,
that's all Amanda Seales is doing. Amanda Seales is trying to make it in an industry that's not built for her, and she's naming that this
oof.
industry is not built for her. So why should she have to be an activist too in the process of her trying to live in an industry that's not recognizing her whole livelihood? And that's I say that to anyone. Like I don't I think we throw around the word activist so quickly.
Mm,
And it's like I think
mhm.
that's the caveat that I'm seeing. Like, and when you really look at why people probably have beef with Candace Owens and why they have beef with Amanda Seales, it's this idea of, well, you're supposed to be supporting black people. And it's like, well, Amanda is doing that by simply existing as a black woman in TV and film. Candace Owens, on the other end, she told us who she was when she sold that idea out and went over there, went back to the plantation. So
Mm,
that's what I'm
mm,
saying.
mhm.
The reality is this: no one thinks critically. No one.
I mean, facts. Truly, like I mean, yeah, but and truly, like, and I mean in the sense of we're all guilty of it in some ways too. Like
Right.
I for sure am as well too. Like I don't always, I think critically a lot, and sometimes I don't want to. So
Right.
I'm just
Right.
like I'm gonna just unplug, girl.
Mm-hmm.
But like in
I'm
times of
going to bed.
discourse, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay. But sometimes in discourse, like people, like it's like people are mad at the thing, but don't know where the thing comes from.
Right.
Okay, so I want to hone into the likability piece about this as well because
Okay.
the article in essence dived into how this conversation is really more about likability, um, and the effect it has on our careers. And
Mm.
personally, I don't disagree. I think that is it's a different take than I would take, but I don't disagree
Yeah.
at all. And I very much think like likability and respectability politics plays a huge role in our access to events and experiences.
T.
And also, someone made an interesting point about which I mean, that's something I think about a lot too. But
Yes. Yes.
they made a point about men not having to worry about likability at all, right? Like AK Cat Williams and his truth telling that he got
Well.
for like laying into people, right? But black women tell the truth, and it is like, well, no, like, well, no one likes you, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on
Well,
that?
I'm sitting here going, you know what? Joe made some good points because it's the truth. And that's the thing also too, like, any t- and this is what I've been saying. I had tweeted, I said the reason why the world hates Amanda Seales is because she likes who she is and she stands up and she stands in that. And
Mm,
that's the reason why
oof.
people quote unquote don't like her. And I find that to be very true in a lot of cases, right? When we meet people who are
Mm,
very
mm,
confident in who they are and they're very, I'll say this. So rest in peace, one of my really good friends, Carla, my friend Carla. And I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have mind if she was alive today, she wouldn't mind me sharing this. Carla, it was funny because when it was long story short, Carla was a black Republican. And as she was living and as she met me at the time, she was very much a staunch Republican, had a lot of views about black people in the black community and all of these things. And as she got to know me, and as I started learning in my journey, right, about who I am and what I wanted to kind of stand for, I started seeing her
mm,
pull back a lot of the things that I knew about her as a Republican, she rolled back. And so the story is important because as I got to know Carla and as we got closer, one of the things that Carla would constantly tell me as she was kind of coming into herself and finding her voice as a black woman was people constantly tell me that I am basically a lot. She would always say that people say that, you know, she was like, "Oh, people would say I'm aggressive." But Carla was a very like, the one thing I loved about Carla was that Carla would say things and she would do it and she would make it happen. She ran for, like she said one day, she was like, she was an air she was a she was in the Air Force, and she had said that there was something specific that she wanted in the Air Force and she got it. She got an award for all of the time that she did in the Air Force. And then, like, right before her untimely death, she even ran for city council and got a spot. She was like, I'm going to
Wow.
run for city council because I want to change the way that Moreno Valley works. And so, all that to be said, Moreno Valley is in the Inland Empire for those who are listening that are not in SoCal. All that to be
Mhm.
said, I share the story about Carla because I constantly reflect on a lot of the things Carla shared with me. And I think about it, right? The things that Carla was experiencing when she was alive was a lot of people saying, we don't like the fact that you are so sure of yourself. And it's the same thing that queer people
Mm.
get, right? When you walk into a room as a queer person or a black fat femme like us, right? It's the question of where, and we've talked about this before in the show, where do you get the audacity to like yourself when everyone in the world, everything in the world has been set up to not like you? Like, you've been taught that you
Oof.
need to hate who you are. And so you have
Mm.
an Amanda Seales walk into a room, and that's the thing, kind of pointing back to Candace Owens. Candace Owens is very much telling us that she hates being black, right? Like, she may not say
Mm,
it out of her
mhm.
lips, but her actions show us that she doesn't like being black. And so you have the whole entire opposite side of it. You have Amanda Seales who's standing in her blackness as a black woman and is saying, I'm advocating for
Mhm.
black women, I'm advocating for black people, I'm advocating for black trans people. I'm going to use my platform to advocate for them. She's doing this and she knows what she's doing. And then you have the world go, well, who the fuck are you to say that you have that personal power? And so I think what it really comes down to is, you know, Cat Williams' truth telling. Cat Williams was just dishing tea, right? Cat Williams, that's really that's what the difference is. Cat Williams was just spilling
Mm.
tea around what was going on in the TV and film industry. Okay, whatever, girl. But
Mhm,
you
mhm.
have Amanda Seales who is saying we need to go up and we need to help and we need to support and we need to do all these things for black people. And people are looking at Amanda Seales and going, girl, you're making too much noise. Because I can
Mm.
guarantee you, if Candace, not Candace, if Amanda Seales was Sean King, everybody and their mama would be the way that, again, the way the world, let's talk about it. Because how many people do you know that says every time you mention that Sean King is doing something problematic, how many excuses do people make for him?
Every single time, and it is and that's the it makes me think a lot about our conversation with Angelica Ross
Yeah.
because, like, it's this thing of, like, the people that I love and care about that are fighting for, like, the right things in many ways, but they keep supporting the wrong people, and it is like,
Yes.
"I love you, but I just can't
Please.
trust you in this fight then.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't trust you in
please.
this fight then." And so, yeah,
Barbara,
you
please.
made everything
Yeah.
but Baba,
Barbara,
please.
please. Give it. Barbara, please. Oh my God. If y'all know, y'all know. If you know the reference, you definitely you'll know. But I'm saying, my God, it's just it blows my mind that people don't think. But
Mm.
all of that to say, I think, you know, if again, if so I and remember I said earlier, I was like, I don't know who to allude this to. I said, I think for me, you know, kind of going back to this, it's the same way that people doubled up and literally like beat up Monique. Like, people were
Mm.
looking for any reason to shit on Monique, right? When she said Netflix is not
Mm.
giving me what I deserve. And it was, oh, here we go, another black woman who, you know, was just talking all this shit.
Mm,
And yes, Monique
mhm.
talks a lot of shit, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff that Monique says is real. And so I think people have a hard time. Like, this is, I guess this is kind of like my pin in this conversation. I think people just have a very hard time, not only just with black people who are sure of themselves, but black women who are sure of themselves. And let's take it even one step further. I was thinking about this today when I was making the bed. You know, I forget what school it was. Was it Duke? It was one of them anyway. And it was a correlation in my head. I had saw something from our friend Philip. He's the one on Twitter who always is posting the news stories. He's the only
Mhm,
black
mhm.
person on Twitter I really trust because he's gonna give me the right info. Um, but I saw him post something, and it might be Duke, I might be lying, but it was a school that was giving away like scholarships, and it had a high number of black women who was using the scholarships. Well, they've axed it.
Mm,
And basically now they're saying that they're cutting this program because they're basically saying, well, affirmative action has been cut, so we no longer need this program. And they're gonna allocate the money somewhere else. And I was thinking to myself as I was reading the article, I'm thinking the reason why, like the true crux of why this like program was cut, or any program like this is being cut, is because there's something in this world about black people, especially black women, knowing like they're like having the words and having the knowledge. And that's the issue that people have
mm,
with folks like Monique and folks like, even, all of the Angelica Ross, right? When you talk to an Angelica Ross, or you talk to a Monique, or you talk to an Amanda Sills, you can tell they're well read. You can tell that they know about laws. You can tell that you can just tell they're very educated. And
mm.
people don't like it. People don't like black people, or black women, or black femmes. I want to say
Yeah.
femmes because even for us, right? I get a lot of people, even for me, that I'll do talks, and you can just tell people are tense. And it's, who the fuck let this girl in here to stand on, who is she to have a mic? Who is
Mm,
she to have a platform?
mhm. I think a lot about my growing up. My dad always told me I'm too smart for my own good, and I think about that a lot these days because I think I used to see it as he's telling me this to because he's irritated with me that I press him. But sometimes I think oh, was he actually saying that to protect me from things? Because
Probably.
when you show up too smart for your own good, people get mad and people take notice and and then people target you for things like that.
Let's be clear,
And so I've
white
been thinking,
people, white, I wanna
mm-hmm,
be very clear
mm,
that in this conversation, because if we're gonna talk about Candace Owens, and we're gonna talk about the difference and the way white supremacy works, wanna be clear that white people have a problem with someone like
with yeah,
being so smart.
yeah,
So I wanna make
yeah.
that clear, but go off.
I I will say I will say just because I know we have to wrap the segment. What the one critique I would have for Amanda,
Mm,
or anyone, and this one that I think we've discussed on the show before, but I have this question of does she really want recognition from the leagues that she mentioned?
hmm,
Like, does she really want recognition? I think it's because I think it's not unfair. I think it's not unfair to critique that, in my opinion,
yeah.
because she named institutions that sometimes exist in cahoots with whiteness, and so what is the reasoning for wanting to be with the black elites?
Yeah, yeah.
If her point is that she would not have thrived without the non-elites, right?
Mm,
Then why is it important that she is recognized by the elites?
mm.
And I think that's just a question that I have for her, and even I think about this for myself a lot too. She, because she discusses how she's not going to be recognized by these institutions, these publications, these media spaces, and I'm like, but do you actually want that? And so why why do you want that?
You wouldn't be so
Because
pressed if it didn't matter. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I have to, you know what though? Let's talk about it. I think there's something, you bring up a really good point, and I'm like, I feel like we're gonna be here for a while. But I think I you bring up such a good point, Joho, because you constantly have to ask yourself, but I think that's just the way society has made it, right?
for
You
sure.
if you're not recognized, or if you're not being celebrated, then that means you're not doing the work. And I think that's the
Mm,
hard part about this industry, and I say this industry globally, right? Because, right, I mean, even for us on this show, sometimes I sit and I look at the numbers of our show, and I'm like, damn, we're not doing what I feel like in year 2 we should be doing with our numbers. And then I have to realize, I'm like, but that's still, we average like 400 to 500 listens a week. And I'm going, that's still 400 to 500 people, that are
mhm,
listening to what we
mhm.
have to say, and are messaging us, or are rooting, are writing to us and saying, I get something from your show. I've learned something, right? I had someone last night, a friend of mine, her husband messaged me and was just like, hey, FYI, I listened to this week's episode and I just want to say thank you so much for helping me learn so much about your community. And he was very, very, very kind about it. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, like, okay, so that means something. But I think the reality is that in this world, if you are not given the clout by the elites, if you're not in the rooms that, I'm just going to say it, and this is not a dig at them, but if you're not in the room that Crystal and Fury are in as podcasters, as Black podcasters, you're not doing anything,
Mm,
right? You're just another person with the mic. And I think that that's the frustration that I think Amanda Seales is dealing with. I think Amanda is dealing with the same frustration I was dealing with 3 to 4 months ago, right? I'm being told to do
mhm,
this. I'm being told to do that. I'm being told to do it this way. And I'm trying to stay as genuine as a person as I can in how I do it. And all I'm getting is pushback. All I'm getting
mhm,
is retribution for speaking truth to power. And I think I think my only the connection that I see in how someone can say Candace Owens and Amanda Seales are the same. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying in my head as I'm talking and I'm thinking about it.
if we were to say this, this is what we could
Right,
say.
right. I feel like people are saying there's one way, like you could shut up and just do what the white people tell you to do, Candace Owens, or you could go against the grain and talk openly and speak openly about oppression and still get fucked over, Amanda Seales,
Mm,
right? Those are two
mm,
paths. And so the question becomes, how do you navigate those paths in a world that's
ooh,
telling you, right? In a world that's constantly telling you to just shut up, like as an oppressed person, and I say oppressed as a very circular thing, as a black woman, as a black woman with a platform, just shut up and do your job. Because that's what they want Amanda Seales to do. But then you look at Candace Owens and she was in the master's house and they still put her ass out. So
mhm.
so what's what? That's the question I'm left with. What's what? What do we do?
Damn. Wow. Wow. I'm actually speechless. I like I
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
not happened to
just
me often, but girl, I mean, the just like that analysis is like, I mean, that analysis is so on point and so just like, and that question is like, damn, what do you do when you see that like nothing, like neither action is actually working, right?
right,
Or like what is the third pathway then? Because the two path, like what, like damn, like we know the master tools don't does dismantle the master's house,
right.
but so does but neither does the other tools that we have too.
Right.
So like,
And
damn.
I've literally texted this to friends. I literally just texting this conversation with someone recently. I was saying, I know, and I think that's a big part of it, the whole likability conversation, right? I've had people tell me, well, John, if you weren't always so social justicey, you probably would get in more doors, or you probably would have already been hired in Hollywood and blah 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 blah. And in the back of my
Mm,
mind, that's probably true. But the reality of the matter is what is it worth for me to take an opportunity or a job and I'm silent and they're still oppressing me, right? They're still going to oppress
mm,
me even if I don't mention it. So I'm going to be oppressed if I talk
mm,
about it, or I'm going to be oppressed. And so that's why I said in this conversation, I'm siding with Amanda Seales because I'm in the mind of nothing she does is going to make her likable because she's speaking truth
yeah,
to power. And that's what I guess we could take from this conversation. If you are that
yeah.
person that comes in all the time and you're saying, it's not just about pointing out what's wrong. It's Amanda is talking about she's talking about injustice. She's talking about the ways that black people are treated by media, how black people are treated by police, how they're treated by government, talking about Rikers. Like she's really built her platform around this idea of saying, yes, I'm an actress, but I'm also an actress who's aware of what's happening around me in my world. And so
Mhm,
it is not enough for me to have millions of people looking at me and say, I'm just going to talk about what's happening in media. I'm just gonna front for you and talk to you about what's going on in on my shows or on a podcast that I do or whatever, right? I think that that's the frustration that I have in watching people talk shit about Amanda Seales is I'm going, you got so much to say about her, then what the fuck are you doing?
mm,
You
mhm,
know?
mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because again, silence is violence. So if we really want to talk about it, you're doing exactly what Candace Owens is doing. No, I'm not saying that everybody has to be advocates, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
you're telling Amanda Seales that part of the reason why people don't like her is because she speaks up about injustice, then you're taking the side of the oppressor. So what is what? That is the question that I'm asking. What
Mhm,
is what? What do you want me to do?
mhm.
Do you want me to keep advocating for freedom and for liberation, or do you want me to just shut up and keep being oppressed? And nobody seems to ever have an answer. So I'm just going to. But anyway, all that to be said, now that my blood pressure is up, I'm gonna go take my Lipitor, and we can resume the show when we get back. Oh Lord Jesus, more to say. All right, and we are black. So I know we kind of came out of last segment kind of hot, and we're gonna
Woo.
transition. But I think part of me is in this mind of again, the personal is political. I was just a lot of the stuff that I felt like there was part of me that got triggered in talking about Amanda Seales because I
Mhm,
have been there and I'm currently there still. And one of the things I wanted to mention, kind of in this notion of like how you healing and how are we working through a lot of this stuff, I know we've mentioned this in our past shows, but I really did want to kind of tie this into it, right? I think one of the questions is the pressure in the work, not even just in this industry, right? Because likability is a thing, right? Like your show being liked. Obviously, it's what keeps us on the air, right? Y'all listening, y'all liking us, y'all going to watch our videos on YouTube, plug. Like all of that all of that feeds into our quote unquote success around the show. And so the whole world job, you getting a job means that someone who interviewed you liked you enough to say let's
mhm,
cut you a check. All of that to be said. So I guess I wanted to ask, like, thinking about this whole conversation around likability, and again, even if you have other thoughts about Amanda Seales or even Candace Owens, right? Candace Owens not being liked, Amanda Seales not being liked, but Amanda Seales not being liked for the right reasons, right? Like I wanted to ask,
mhm,
like, how do
mhm,
you navigate the feelings or the emotions of always wanting to and needing to be like, and I actually appreciate that you mentioned that because that was something that I didn't even think about as you were talking. I was like, wow, yeah, like this whole world is built around this notion of like you needing to be liked. And I know for me it
mhm,
started, I felt that feeling of like, oh wow, people like have to like me or I need to make people like me when I came out as queer. Like I started feeling like, well, if people
mhm,
like me, they won't pick on me or make fun of me. Um, and then I fell into this hole of like wanting everyone in this world to be my friend, and wanting everyone to like not say anything bad about me and then like realizing that no matter what you do people are still going to talk shit about you whether you're a good person or not. And so I guess I'm asking like how have you, and again I don't spend my every day with you so I don't know how your everyday looks but I know you pretty well. There's a part of me that recognizes that you don't really give a fuck about some things, and so I guess the question is like how did you stop giving a fuck, if that makes sense?
Damn, bitch. This is a pregunta. This is a question. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, first of all, like, I'm still holding, I'm still holding what you ended with on the last segment. 'Cause that's something that I just truly just has me stumped in so many ways. Of like, there really just is no answer for things like this sometimes,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like, so I think, so I think and I agree, like, I think you do know me enough that there are some things I, like, do not give a fuck about, and I'm fine not being liked about in some ways, but I still struggle with not being liked, and I mean, and it's it's so funny. I was talking with my roommate about this recently of, like, damn, like, they as in, like, the universal they, like, they were right. All trauma does come back to your childhood.
yeah,
Like, it all
yeah,
comes back to your childhood. And so, like, my idea of not being liked is like being a fat kid in high being a fat kid in school
yeah.
and, like, needing needing to be led to not get picked on or picked
Mhm.
out. So I resort to being class clown, being on the jokes people would like me, right? Being the funny one, then being the smart one, right? Be smart, be funny. Then when I stepped into like my queerness, having to then be in on the joke in that way as a mixed person, feeling like I have to be not feeling like because of who I am, like and all those things together. Like it's just like I respond to trauma with humor. I respond to trauma with like people pleasing. So historically, like being white has been a really hard thing for me. But I think you hit the nail on the head. The idea right like I mean, and like I laughed at what you said earlier because to me it's like in this discourse of Candace Owens versus Amanda Seals, like are you a Candace or are you an Amanda? Like that is the real question
Mhm.
that I'm coming up with because right because we do have two very real instances of doing everything you can to get liked, and then the second you do one thing that someone else doesn't like, you are outed,
Gone.
and then you build a career off of not being liked at the like right because like the stake of advocating for what you believe in is not being liked and saying like that is fine, but then still having attention with like but I hate that I'm not liked
Right.
because I'm not getting what I deserve, like or I'm not being seen the way I want to be seen. And I think like I mean, I struggle with this so much. I think likability, and I always remember. I remember this a lot from my in my high school class. I did like a 2 year class. I remember like every day, my teacher who was a black teacher himself. I always laugh. I always not laugh. I always find it interesting when people like say when they had their first black teacher because I'm like literally since every teacher I've had, like most of my teachers throughout my entire education
Yeah.
from kindergarten into high school were black. So I'm like,
Lucky.
you know, I have black people black
Mhm.
teachers. Like, why? It's wild because I'm like, really? But like, go off Bay Area, live off, love us. And so, but I say that and like, if I like, I'm trying to think what was that? What was my point about that? Oh my gosh, what was my point about that? Um, my teacher would always say, "It's not what you know, it's who you know and how you treat them." And he would
Well,
literally begin that class, and every class with that. And I was like, "Why is this so like important?" But as I grow older, I see that it's true because,
yeah.
and I'm not saying it's right, like right, like, I'm not saying it's right. Like I think it should be what you know in your qualifications for it,
T.
right?
T.
But
Very much T,
but
yes.
but the world works as who you know and how you treat them, and I think, but that's also what it is too, right? Is how you treat them because who you know isn't enough either.
Mhm.
Because who you know, like you mean a lot of people. If you don't treat them right, then they also won't ride for you too. And so to me, like, and I would reframe it as like it's what you know and how you treat who you know,
Right.
because it has to be both of those things to me as a recipe for success. Because like yes, I agree, you have to know what you're talking about to do the thing. And I think that that in itself gets you liked by people because you become an expert on something that they look to you for. But you also have to treat them right as well too. And I think for me, I struggle with likability in some ways, but I also don't in other ways because I know that I know I'm a good person. I know that I treat people the way
Amen.
I want to be treated.
Right.
And I treat them with the respect that I ask for
Yeah.
as well too.
Mhm.
And I have recognized that people not giving me that is never really about me. Like they don't like me because I like myself. They don't like me because I'm firm in what I believe in, or they don't like me because I will own up to when I maybe am shifting what I believe in, or I'll own up into to being wrong. Like I've been trying really hard to like be okay with being wrong and be okay with like with being called in, right? Like being called in it is triggering, right? It's like I will respond with humor, but like that's what will help me. That's what will help me like take the edge off of it, but
Right.
I'll still be called
Yes.
in. And I think like
Same.
so I think for me, like people like if like for example, like someone like I said something recently at dinner and someone was like, "Girl, like that's traumatic." And I fully was like, "Damn, girl, drag me, like read me for filth," because like, I had like laugh about it because like, "Oh my god, this is intense," but also like, "Oh my god, like drag me because it's deserved." And so I think for myself, like the idea of being like and how I navigate like likability, it's that, like, I know I'm inherently likable because of who I am, but I
Right.
also know that I come to the table, like, bringing in knowledge and expertise to things, and I respect the knowledge that other people have too. Like, other people also don't know how to accept when they don't know something. I am
Mhm.
Gucci not knowing something. I am Gucci being like,
Let
"Not
me
my wheelhouse, sis.
go ahead.
I will happily, like, learn from you." Like, I mean, things are right, let me sit back. That's all you, boo boo. Like, I don't need to know these. I don't need to know these things to excel. And I'm happy to share space with you to listen. I think that's like how I think like I'm likable because I inherently share space. I inherently work with people. I strive to not respond with anger. I strive to like respond with empathy. I strive to understand where people are at. Like I strive to see people because I want to
Yes.
be seen myself.
Yeah.
And so and that said, like I've also like there are for sure things I have done that people have not found likable that have prevented me from being in spaces and doing things. And I'm like, and instead of like, and like I could be more upset in some ways I am, but like I see it as okay, like that door closed, then I'll just find a different door. Like I'll just find a different door then and work with people to find that different door. Or that door actually was never for me in the first place. Like I actually don't need to be in that
That is
room
a big
to be successful then.
mhm.
And like fine. Like they're lost, not mine, because I know the people I'm with, that right, like John, my roommate, my friends, people in my circle, like I know that I ride with them because our values align,
Mhm.
and that when we ride into something, we bust that door down, we ride together, knowing that we said, "Fuck those doors," because those doors didn't mean
Right.
those doors
Right.
actually would have done nothing for us.
Right.
These doors are the ones that we're going to open together
Yeah.
for
I
long
I
distance
love
bond.
so 2 things about your likability and things that I can very much attest to. 1, you are the kindest critic. Like, you give like, even when you critique me or critique things around the show, I'm always like, "God damn, I wish I had that." Like, there's this tenacity you have to be just one of the kindest people. And I meant to put this at the top of the show, and
You.
I forgot. So I'm gonna say this here, like giving you your flowers. I don't think I would have been able to do this show this long if I didn't have
Mm,
you to depend on. And so I think like I do want to say that like we're literally 9 episodes away from 100 episodes. And as I'm thinking about that, I'm
mhm,
going like, that's a big deal for a podcast, right? The fact that we have
mhm,
100 episodes and that I could rely on you the way that I have. So I'll say all of that to say, when talking about like likability and things, yes, like you genuinely make it very easy to be in a space and in a world that
yeah.
oftentimes is complicated. And I'll say that too, like you're also very slow to anger. And that's something that I have definitely learned by watching you. Like there have been moments where we both have been very frustrated about something and you've said, no, 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 don't, because me and the way that I move, I have been tempted to just literally come in guns a blazing. And you have said, girl, slow down, hold on. We have to think about it this way. And I've been like, oh, wow, I actually even think about it that way. So I got it. And so I think like, I think about that a lot. I think about the ways that you make just this work and this life. And like you're not only just fun again over the mic, but you're also fun to be around in like real life. And I'm grateful for that. But I will say that I think you bring up a really good point. And this has been hard. And I kind of mentioned this because, like I said, as much as it's been months since I've had that situation where that person just cut it off with me, right? Where they just literally like, I'm not your friend anymore. And I was like, oh crap, where did that come from? It still haunts me,
Mm,
right? It still shows up because
mm,
and I think a lot of this also too is, inherent trauma that I'm carrying from just my lived experience of, like you said, being the fat kid, being the queer kid, being the kid that is constantly seeking approval. Even thinking about too, like the trauma we talked about with our fathers, right? I know your father was in your life, my father wasn't in mine, and I think sometimes some of this. I need the world to see me and like me and really stand with me comes from that trauma I carry of my father not being around. And so um I'll say this, it's reassuring and it's very like it's a good reminder to hear you not only as my
mm.
colleague but also as like one of my best friends. I'll say because I don't want any of my other friends who listen to the show to be like, "What? I'm not a best friend." No, you're one of my best friends. To hear one of my best friends remind me that doors open and close for reasons, and to also remind myself too that people who opt to not like you or people who find a reason to not like you are not the people for you. And I think that's something we
Mhm.
don't hear enough. Like we don't hear, especially as we're talking about likability. Like I kind of wish Amanda Seales, would have just got on the mic and was like eating popcorn and was like reading and laughing at that op-ed. Like, here we go.
Mm.
Someone talking about they don't like me again. Oh well, like I know who I am. And again, I know it can hurt. I know it hurts because same thing for me. Like every time I'm told, well, maybe if you weren't so this or you weren't so that or you didn't do X, Y, and Z, you could have this opportunity or your life would be easier, right? That shit gets daunting and it's hard to hear all the time. But there's a part
Yeah.
of me that wishes that maybe she didn't go to the internet. And again, I don't want to spend a lot of time harping on her. I will just say this to like anyone who's listening in this How You Healing segment, and anyone's listening and going, I'm constantly being told I'm not likable, or I'm constantly being told that I need to change in order for the world to like me. I would say critique where that critique is coming from, right?
Mm,
There are often
mhm.
people who see things in you, and that's the thing like I said, I've learned from you. There are things that people see in you that they wish that they knew how to have and knew how to navigate. And instead of saying, "How can I get closer to that person to emulate that?" Right? In the ways that I have with you, they opt to say, "Fuck that person. That person is trash. I don't like that person." Well, it's going, well,
Mm.
you could become a better person if you just ask them how you could emulate some of the characteristics that they carry, but yet you're carrying animosity and that's why you are where you are. And so, so
Period. Period. Y'all didn't see, but I did the whole period hand motions
yeah.
because I was like, "That's on
So, I
period,
mean,
bitch." Yes.
and that's where I'm
Facts.
learning now. Instead of just being so like instead of being jealous of somebody, there are things you could just go, maybe I can learn something from them. All right. And again, not saying that they have to be your best friend, but I think a lot of the likability thing, like I said, I think and I don't know if we really got a chance to hit on it in our last segment, but I think a lot of it does come from jealousy. I think that there are things that people see in you, people see in me, people see, and it's kind of the same thing too.
Mm.
Like I'll even say this, and then I know we have to go to our next segment. But I will say this, like, even down to like the shit we get with the show, right?
Mhm.
We have had our mountains that we've had to deal with people like trying to shit on
Girl.
our show, whether it be in the
Mhm.
comments or whether it be via email or whether it be on social media. And I know a lot of that is why them and not me, right? Like why did they get a show? Why is their show going longer? Why are they getting renewed and not my show? Why is my show not on iHeart's network? And I'm going, that's between you and the Lord, girl. I have favor.
The
And, and you don't have to like it,
okay.
but it is what it is.
I have favorite, yeah, literally, yes, just yes, yes, let me not say anything because yes, because 'cause I'm just like, I have choice words at some points in time,
I know
but
that's right.
today,
Yes.
not today. I'm like, but yes, we have favor, and that's just how it is. Sorry, babes. Sorry, babes.
Sorry, bye.
Okay, well, we love while we do love what y'all think about us, more so we love that you love our next segment.
Amen.
So
Amen.
we're gonna take one more break and come back with our yes ma'am and no ma'am pants in just a jiffy.
All right, y'all. So we are going to get into y'all's favorite segment. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, Pam. My God, just there's so much happening, and there's so much to say. So I'm going to try to make it brief. I know for me, my yes, ma'am, this week, I am starting off by saying I had a chance to work with. And so shout out to Indiana State. So I initially went there for their social justice summit. I had a chance to speak. It was a really sweet, very amazing time with a lot of their staff, talking to them, specifically the administration, speaking to them about what they can do to better support black, brown, queer, all of the diasporas of the rainbow of unification, if I will. But yeah, I had a day, and then the initial second day was supposed to be just a day of me helping students come into terms with their own intersectional lived experiences, and it really ended up becoming a conversation of um, how do you use your power, how do you use your voice in order to create demands. And so I wanted to shout out more than the folks who brought me there. I wanted to shout out their students. There were a lot of queer students, specifically white queer students, who came to this
Mm,
event and really took up, I would say they took up good space in the idea of not having to have all of the black students do all of the heavy lifting. Like they were the ones who were like, we will go do this, we will go get this, we will go. Like they literally made sure that the Black students felt supported. And so, for those of you who do not
Mm,
know, Indiana State is dealing with some stuff right now around a racist TikTok that went viral. There was a woman
mm,
who basically created a TikTok. I'm not going to say her name. If you want to find her name, you can. But she had created a TikTok and basically had said that Black people were not country, that nobody who, even if we're from the South, it was because we were brought there, we were sold to be in the South, that we are inherently not from the South. And so there's all of these racist things that she said. And so the administration has been very slow to respond to, like, basically to reprimand the young woman who made this video. And so the Black students are demanding that their administration do stuff. And the sad part about it is that the
mm,
students are letting me know that that the administration who does support them or want to support them are being told that if they do, that their jobs are on the line. And so I just wanted to say, the administration who are putting their jobs on the line, as well as the folks that are helping the students to organize and do what they need to do, to get the administration to respond the way that they want. I just wanted to say shout out to y'all, because I know this work is hard, and I know that it is very hard to feel like you're not heard, and to also see that someone is putting their livelihood on the line to help you out. So there's that. Um, by No Man Pam. So I said I was not going to spend a lot of time on this. And now I'm looking at this paragraph and I'm going, my God, I wrote a whole dissertation about this, right? I wanted to say that I initially saw people talking about the Carmichael show. And I'm sure people think that, oh, John, with John's, John and Joho's frame, we were going to get into the meat and potatoes of that show. And I'll just be transparent. A lot of the stuff that I've seen has made me say, I don't want to watch this show. Especially
mm,
knowing that there
mhm,
was only one Black person who is listed as producer on the show, it tells me everything that I need to know. Um, and
mm,
so I had to stop myself and say, this is exactly what's wrong with this picture. You have a lot of people, specifically white people, who are getting their kicks looking at a Black queer person basically um feed into their own detriment. And you're looking at, and to be honest, you're looking at someone who is responding to their trauma. And that is something that
mm,
I just can't deal with. I have been there. I have been that girl who thought the more white I looked and the more white I could say I was, that the queer community would love me, and it proved to not be true. Right. And so I definitely want to say that I right, and so with this show and anyone who really watches it, love
mm,
with. But I will
mhm.
say this, to hear a Black man say, I only exclusively date white people, you're telling me everything I need to know about the trauma that you have not worked through. You are telling me that you need to be loved on. You're telling me that you are lacking love in some way. And you're wearing that as a badge of honor. And so that's the problem that I have with this show. This show is like, it's really like, you're telling me that you're dealing with something that you need a Kaiser prescription for, right? Like you're dealing with some internal trauma and some mental health issues that really need to be rectified. And that's the reason why. So I'm not going to tell people like don't watch the show, but what I'm saying is by you watching the show, you are doing exactly what the industry likes to do to Black queer people, is to only see us in peril. And that's exactly why I'm watching
Mm.
the show. So
Whew,
what are your yes ma'am
whew.
ma'ams for this week? And I just want to say, I know I'm coming in hot this week. I did not intend to come into this episode this way, but here we are.
I do just have to say the one quote that makes me laugh a lot is someone said the HBO Max canceled every black led show on this network just so he can suck on wifey, and it takes me out because I was like, damn, I have not seen the show either. I was if you're not watching YouTube, y'all, John is fully back in his chair laughing because that really what that was a review that was like, wow, that is a review. Have I ever seen one before? I haven't watched the show myself. I honestly don't know if I will watch the show. I was curious about it, but I'm seeing a lot of folks and their and their reactions to it. But like that review really had me like, that's why I watch just that's why I watch just to see that play out. But anyways, my yes man Pam is gonna go it's gonna go to a show that I do love to watch. And I feel back. This is definitely a white show, but to 911 on ABC
Yes. Yes.
because this show is giving me something that I have been wanting forever.
Forever. Yes.
I am so if those who watch the show, there's a character on there, Buck, who I love. He's been there since day one. I think this man is so I think he is just so cute. Something about him is just like so fine to me. I often am like, ugh, white man trash. But something about him is just I'm just like, oh, Buck, he's so cute. But
Yes.
I've been wishing that him and Eddie in the show
Yes.
Eddie Diaz would get together because that's the ship that I see. Then there's two friends that have a bromance and then turn into a romance. But that's not the future. That's not the future that has been laid out for me. But I was always wondering, would they ever explore sexuality for like for these characters in the show? And last week they did for Buck, and I was sat strapped to my couch. Me and my roommate were watching. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I am getting vibes from this episode that something's gonna happen that's queer, like in this way that I just don't know if I'm prepared for." And they were like, "Girl, is the the no, it's giving very straight." I was like, "No, no, just watch." And then I was like, "Bitch," and I
Right.
gagged. So love this. I hope it's explored more. I'm curious of how it'll be handled because I think it will bring an interesting conversation about sexuality, as an adult person, as someone for his character, right, who has gone through the show in so many heterosexual relationships, who's gone through the show being seen as like a womanizer, right? Like how it would shift him and how they handle it. I am watching you, Ryan Murphy. I am watching you about how
Right.
you handle this
Right.
story, and or how you and the writers handle the story.
Mhm.
But I was like, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it.
Same. I'm here for it.
God.
I'm so
It's
here
like
for it. I've been
that
wanting
kiss,
this.
I was like,
I've been
"Ooh."
wanting this way before. So, like, even just I know we have to I keep looking at the time, I'm like, "I know we have to go." Um, but I was gonna say when I would watch the show and remember the whole setup with them, like, there was an episode where they looked at Buck and they looked at Eddie and they were like, "Oh, is this your son?" And they were like, "No, we're best friends." And the way that Buck would, like, take care of the son, I forget what his
It's
name is.
Christopher. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
knew his
Christopher.
name.
Mhm.
Christopher, the way he would take care of Christopher, I was like, "Oh, they're alluding to something here." Whether it's gonna be Eddie that
They
ends up going down the pipeline.
baiting us,
Uh-huh, I said either be
baiting
Eddie. I
us.
knew it was gonna either be Eddie or I knew it was gonna be Buck, but I was
Yeah,
in the mind of like, I don't think it's gonna be Buck because Buck was very much hyper like woman, and that'll probably be a storyline piece, right? Like the reason why he was going through so many
yeah.
women was that he was having a hard time with his
Mm.
sexuality, which you often hear a lot of bi/pansexual
Yeah,
men say, like they have a very hard time finding connection with people because they can't find the connection with themselves. But I will
yeah.
say that if there was anything that made me want to stay with 911, this is the thing. I am here
I
for
honestly see what happens, and I just see more Buck makeouts
it,
because,
man.
whew, that boy could do stuff to me. Okay, anyways,
Hello.
but no man Pam. It's just to people who hate the casting of people of color in different roles of shows and films, especially. I don't know if it's real or not, but there was some type of meme about or some type of reel about the role of Rapunzel being cast to a woman of color, and this like white girl was like in tears about it, and it makes me think of all of like when people were mad about
Very.
Hallie being
Mhm.
Ariel, like y'all are broken up over fairy tales. Please go find a hobby that adds to your life. Like, just find a hobby that adds to your life. That isn't
Yes.
this. Like,
Yeah.
please just find joy somewhere else because it. I just it is like not that deep. Like, it's not that deep. And I'm like, we as people of color have had to witness white roles in everything that we've watched. And let me tell you, we have people of color, we have role for those white people too. We have been like, they're a great, fantastic actor.
Yes.
We have been like, we've been like, we don't love we don't love the casting, but we'll watch the
Julianne
movie
Moore.
of the show. And okay, listen,
Hello.
eats everything that she does.
Yes. Who does
Live, laugh, love
the
that,
woman who
like
played Miranda
you know,
Priestley?
Meryl Streep,
Meryl Streep. I
please,
go
like
up for Meryl Streep. Yes.
all the time. So stop y'all
Right.
can stop being mad
Right.
and stop being mad at them being in roles
Mhm.
that aren't like pigeonholed and like into their race. Like just stop, y'all. Y'all need to find something else in your life that adds to it because this is not it. And you just look foolish and sad.
Amen.
Like, girl,
Amen.
get get as My favorite girl says the 5 Gs, Latrice Royale. Good God, girl, get a grip.
Grip. Please, please get a grip. And it's more so I don't know if you saw too, like there are people who are still really mad about, I guess, Disney, they're getting ready to release the new Ariel show. There's like a little kid show that they're doing, and the whole
Mm,
entire
mm,
cast is pretty
mm.
much black. Like everybody, like even the father and this is he's black,
Yeah,
uh what's her name? Ursula's black. And so everyone's like up in arms about it. And I'm going, it's the same conversation of like with queer people. Like people are mad at 911 too because Buck now is queer. And I'm going, at the end of the day, like
it's fictional. It doesn't have to make sense to you. Like, it's okay.
no, it's like we've lived our whole life with everything being based on cis straight narratives, cis white
Mhm,
straight narratives. Hello, other people
mhm.
exist. If you don't, my biggest thing, like you said, if get a hobby. If you don't like where the show was going, stop watching.
Watch it. It's okay. There's a million other shows you can watch. Trust me, you are just fine.
You're
A
not
lot of racism you can watch too. Sleep
everybody.
on, sis.
Go watch something boring and plain on the CMT, on the country music
Okay,
channel. There's something
okay.
boring and plain that you can go
Thank
watch
you,
on
thank you.
somebody's Hallmark channel. Like, go find something better to do. My God, this whole episode, we're just telling people, please go find something better to do. But anyway, with that being said, thank you everybody for listening and for rocking with us this long. Send your thoughts, your feedback, and email to blackfatfempod@gmail.com. You can also send us your thoughts via social media by interacting with our post on Instagram and Twitter by using the handle at BlackFatFemPod. And you can also leave comments on our YouTube video. You can head over to www.youtube.com/blackfatfempod. Yeah, that's where you can find us. So with that being said, Joho, where can the dolls find you?
Of course, my loves, if you love me, you can find me at Joho Nails across all socials and my website, jordannails.com. If you hate me or cancel me, you will not find me there at all. Do not go there, please. Don't need that smoke or energy from anybody else. And if you won't find me at any place, you will find me on my couch, laid up with my feet up because I am over people right now.
Same.
I'm just tired of you. I'm just tired of y'all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just tired of everybody. Like, no tea, no shade. I'm ready to be by myself, cocooning myself into my beautiful velvet couch and watching TV. Trying to watch more episodes of Buck, honestly, because that's all I want to be
Yes,
doing right
yes, yes.
now.
I didn't watch last night's episode because we got in late, but I am
Same,
definitely
not yet, but
yeah,
after this.
yeah. Mhm. Yes, I am so excited and so happy that, all of that is, like, it's just the season's giving me everything, so I'm really excited to eat it up tonight. But with that being said, as for me, you can find me and catch me in Delta's mentions going off. So, I'm trying my best to not be elitist, but have you ever heard of being downgraded on a flight?
I have seen it before,
So,
yes.
yes,
I've
well,
seen it
it
happen
happened to
before.
me this week, and I literally had
Wait,
the biggest
how?
bitch fit on a plane. Yeah, I was
Now,
in first class and I got
I've seen it
downgraded to Comfort Plus. And I tell people,
I've seen it happen, like, if someone was being mean on the flight
no,
and ruined
I
their
was
down,
downgraded because they
but
quote unquote changed planes and didn't have enough first class seats. And I tell people I don't fly first class because I'm just trying to be uppity and pretentious. I fly first class because I don't want to have to deal with people saying mean things to me about my size. That is the reason why I
mhm.
fly first class. And so yeah, they downgraded. So I literally had to like act, I wouldn't say act a fool, but I definitely had to like roll into like my black fat girl bag and go off a little,
Mm.
and they finally fixed it. But my God, like Delta, like I don't know what's going on
Also,
with planes.
I'm like, "Would you offer me a refund for the flight then? Like,
Right.
if you're downgrading me, girl, give me the refund at least for
Right.
the whole ticket because first class is not cheap."
No.
Like,
Yeah. So
ooh.
it's just flying is not what it used to be, and I'm really kinda over it. But anyway,
Period.
if you wanna hear more about my flying woes, considering I have to fly again this upcoming Thursday, um, follow me online at Dr. John Paul, or you can visit my website at www.drjohnpaul.com. All right, we want to thank our supervising producers, Rebecca Ramos and Bei Wang, for handling all of the logistics with the show, and our executive super producer, Anna Hosnia, and everyone over at iHeartMedia for keeping the show up and on the air. We have been renewed for year 3, so you can hear more of us coming down the
Yes!
pipeline, and
Some
I'm
more
so
week,
here
bitch,
for it.
okay?
We also would like to shout out our wonderful editor, Sir Mix-a-Lot, Chris Rogers for what they do to bring the flavor to your ear and the videos to you down to the YouTubes. And this is not on our wrap up list, but I just want to say thank you so much, Joho, for just being an amazing co-host these 91 episodes that we have had. You have literally the last few weeks, you have been saving my black ass in a lot of ways. And I'm just grateful to know you and to love you. And so I'm just so grateful that we get to do this together for another year. So,
You save my black ass every week, so thank you and love you so much.
amen.
Truly, thank you.
We got each other. We got each other. And I love that journey for us. This has been another show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And remember, something someone once told me that I'm now going to tell y'all: if they come for me in the morning, they are definitely going to come for you in the night. I think that's for real. Bye.